to another interesting package of the program. CSR Digest is a program put together by Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited as a feedback mechanism to x-ray some of its corporate social responsibility to host and neighboring communities. Today we are looking at a wide range of programs put together by the company in their hosts and neighboring communities. Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited is well known for its robust relationship between host and neighboring communities, driven by its policy of touching lives and developing communities through CSR programs. The company's corporate social responsibility spreads across every strata of human endeavor, anchored on ensuring a sustainable future for beneficiaries. Total's multi-sectoral development approach helped in several areas such as agriculture, education, road infrastructure, human capital, human capacity, water and sanitation, as well as sports and health. All these come with various challenges ranging from insecurity and other natural disasters like flood.
I am particularly grateful for all the eulogies we have received as a company. But this shows the true state of our relationship with the people of the Eki Kingdom and all the places where we are operating. Receive our assurances that we will continue to partner with you, to identify with you in times of goodwill and even when ill wind.
One of the key drivers of the CSR policy of Total E&P Nigeria Limited is the Memorandum of Understanding (MOU), which binds the company and the communities together, setting up a roadmap for rapid socio-economic development using the right instruments.
This is very different because we used to have several groups and all that, but now everybody is united in one, and the other unity of purpose. And you can also see on the Total side, right from the managing director, because sometimes they used to delegate this aspect, but today the MD is, so it's a new beginning. So we have vibrant young men who have been appointed today to implement, and so I have no doubt that they will deliver. First of all, the environment has to be created at home, and this is the task of the people themselves.
Can assure the stakeholders that for the first time they are going to see 100% implementation of an agreed commitment. Yes, the advice I have for the community is to create an enabling environment, that can usher in all that was agreed upon. Because without the security in the community, there's no way we can go to the community to implement what has been agreed upon.
Upon implementation of various MOUs, Total make conscious effort to satisfy the need of the communities by providing quality service and meeting international best practices. Benefiting communities speak on the gains so far.
A project that is supposed to be only 55 million has run into hundreds of what? Millions. Is it totally a problem? No. It is our contractor that they pay and they eat that money. I have come to realize that Total is willing to develop a game.
Join us in the interview session of the program as we feature the Executive General Manager, Corporate Social Responsibility, Total E&P Nigeria Limited, Engineer Vincent Nade, for more on CSR. Welcome to the discussion segment of CSR Digest. Today, I have with me a company executive, the Executive General Manager, Corporate Social Responsibility, the one whose office generates all corporate social responsibility policy to host and neighboring communities. Engineer Vincent Nade, you're welcome to CSR Digest.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you. Let's meet Engineer Vincent Nade officially. Who is Engineer Vincent Nade, the Ochumare one of Orashi region?
Thank you very much, Nduaji. As you already mentioned, my name is Engineer Vincent Nade. I'm an engineer by training. I work for Total. Today I'm in charge of corporate social responsibility for the affiliate in Nigeria. and that means both upstream and downstream. I am in charge of the corporate social responsibility. My experience goes across both operations for the company, projects, sustainable development, administration, and now corporate social responsibility. So it's been quite a long period of engagements, and now more especially for engagement with stakeholders. Thank you very much.
All right. Now, when we talk about corporate social responsibility, what are these corporate social responsibility to host and neighboring communities? What are these things?
Well, first of all, in this concept, corporate social responsibility means that an organization should give back to society, should support society in development. And so this is the larger concept of it. There are other concepts of it which also means that you are operating in an environment and you are creating an impact. And so you must be seen to ameliorate these impacts on the society in which you are operating. Others may include things such as, what you see on ground, you have to be part of it. For example, if you see that the capacity of the people to be part of your operations are not enough, you have to build the capacity. So it's a very big concept of known as corporate social responsibility.
All right. In Total E&P, the company has always been in the forefront of ensuring a robust relationship between its host and neighboring communities. What are the motivational factors and strategies adopted to promote this trend?
Well, when you say robust relationship, I just smile because it has not always been robust. Our relationship that you see today, well stabilized, has come a long way. It has come from history. There are periods in which they were not so robust. I must say that. For example, I usually identify 3 big periods of the company. The early periods when the company started in the 60s, it was very, very peaceful for the communities and for the company. The operations were smoothly. It lasted for nearly 20 years. There's a second phase which I have identified as a reactive phase, when the awareness in community started building up, as they were not seeing things coming from government, from this thing, but they were seeing the IOCs present. So they started to build awareness among themselves, and they started reacting. And that's why I have identified this phase as reactive phase. In our own case, it lasted for nearly 20 years, the 80s, up to the year 2000. We are very turbulent with our communities. And now, what we are now calling as robust relationship is the 3rd phase. So we have built this robust relationship from this history. So from each of these phases, we have learned quite a lot, and we have integrated them into what we are doing now. There were no policies before, but today we have policies guiding our relationship with communities, with our stakeholders. We have now identified our stakeholders as partners in the business, and that's what they are. This is what is guiding the peaceful relationship that we have, what you now refer as robust relationships. Like I said, it had not always been so, but we have built it on history, and we have now learned from it and have developed policies focusing on the people, on the environment, identifying them as partners in progress. And the main engine of this is dialogue. Okay. We engage our community, we talk with them, we sit down with them, and this is where we are different. If you go to our companies today, everywhere you see several meetings going on. This is the exact difference. What, if you said the motivational factors, what has really brought us to this thing, driven this to this stability that we have today, is because we have now strategies focused on people with dialogue as the main engagement tool.
Now, which means I will not be wrong if we say that this company won the the prestigious award of most outstanding CSR IOC of the year. I believe this engagement strategy is one of it. Can you expand?
Yes, certainly. I think it was in 2003 in a gathering of all the IOCs, the NOG, which is the equivalent of the OTC in America. The NOG is the gathering, the largest gathering of all the IOCs in Nigeria. So they came up in 2013 and said, look, over the years, Total, they have seen Total very peaceful in our operations, and they have seen development coming up. And so they said we were the best. I wouldn't understand the metrics they use, but I must say that it must have been because of the peace that existed for our operations, even during the militant years, when everywhere was boiling in Niger Delta. Our operations were, and they were all surprised. Why would the operations be going on? Every other place was down. And so this was what some of the metrics, the considerations. And you will recall that in 2012, we had a very big problem, especially in OML 58. We had a blowout that could drive any IOC out of the business. But the communities rally around to TAL and say, look, now you have a problem, we will solve the problem together with you. And so that was how we were able to engage and this thing. Shortly after, the community had a very serious problem too. In that same 2012, serious flood in these communities. Just as one good ton deserves another. So we were also with them in helping in solving the big flood that engulfed the whole of those communities. I'm sure put together, I wasn't part of the metrics for the IOC. I don't know exactly what metrics they used, but we were at peace with our destiny in times of trouble, in times of peace. When you integrate your operations to the community context, so I think that was what gave us this award.
Okay. Now, in all of this, I believe that you have some multi-sectoral development strategy which worked over the years. How did you do this? Because when I mean by when I said multi-sectoral development strategy, very recently, Total held health awareness campaign, even mass free health care for host and neighboring communities in OMF 58, in Pobo Nkoro, and even Akwa Ibom. I think that of Akwa Ibom is yet to hold, and all that. You talk about infrastructural development. Total is there. There are so many road networks in their operational areas. You talk about water reticulation in those towns. They are there. Schools, capacity building, skills acquisition, and all that. These are multi-sectoral development strategy. How did it work over this year?
Oh, I am very happy that you have even said everything. Our approach is not only multi-sectoral, it's also multilateral. So these are really strategies. Like you have already said, you have identified the various areas. They are multi-sectoral because from each sector, the health sector, the education sector, infrastructure, agriculture, we are there. They are also multilateral because we don't believe in doing only by ourselves. So we are working with partners. We are working with government, development agencies, NGOs, and the people. So they are both multi-sectoral and multilateral. And this two-pronged approach helps in integrating to work well. Like we have mentioned in the health, you have seen over a period, we have work programs that identifies this thing from needs analysis. What are the needs of the people? We pick up the needs of the people in which specific areas. Is it malaria? And we know using statistics coming from national statistics, we know the prevalent rates. And so we engage and we support. Yes, exactly. And so that is how we are able to. It's not only even in the communities. You realize that we have three main levels of deploying of CSR. We have the one focused for the communities. We also, as a result of our deep water operations, we have national programs. All these are also, we are also going across the country. Last week, we commissioned 2 mammograph centers in Lagos because we have seen that breast cancer is a serious problem in the country. And so today, because we know this is a problem, we have decided to build all across the states. It will soon be built in Rivers State also. And so these are our approaches on this. They are arising from the needs of the people. Multi-sectoral because we have the major challenges in Nigeria today are developmental, and they have to be across all sectors, especially in agriculture for sustainability, because Nigeria is an agricultural country. And so we have integrated all this because, like we said, our policy said we must contribute towards the social and economic development of our host nations. The second aspect of it is that we have created impact. There are people who have taken their lands, in OMF 58 particularly. And so we must compensate for this type of distance, the impact we have created. And so these are why we are distinct. So it's been successful, two-pronged approach, multi-sectoral, multilateral. Thank Thank you very much.
In spite of insecurity and economic challenges bedeviling the oil and gas, sector of the economy, you have consistently, when I mean you, I said, Total has consistently made the much needed impact through your CSR policy. How have these worked?
I tell you, if you mention that the security issues have not affected us, I tell you that's belittling the question. I tell you, security have affected us. It has affected our deployment, our operations, it has affected our deployment of our CSR. It has not only affected us, it has also affected even the stakeholders themselves. Security. You will recall the events in OMF 58 in the recent past. Yeah. We're happy that peace is returning, but security continues to be a major hindrance to development. So it has affected us. However, we have managed to soldier along. And this I must attribute to the policy that we put in place. Because our policy has always been that we should not be the implementing arm of our CSR. It's the people. We should just be, we have the support. We act as support. They define their developments, they design their developments, they implement their developments. And so we are just supporters of these developments. And so when these security issues came on, they were on ground, and so they continue to soldier along, and they manage themselves all through the period of the insecurity. It was a very bad one. So we were just able to manage along because of this our policy. We have built capacity on the people, and so we were just behind supporting them. But we wish it would have been better because we always like to work together, supporting while we see what is going on.
Just like what has happened in the Seed Multiplication Center at Obobru, where a lot of capacity was being built in farming and all that. But today, it has been eroded because of natural disasters and insecurity. Anyway, are there feedback mechanisms you put in place to assist in appraising the performance of your CSR programs and projects?
In fact, any good policy of CSR must have a way of feedback such that you learn what we call REX, retour d'experience in French. You learn from the experience you gain and you improve all along the value chain of your development process. So we have inbuilt mechanisms like you asked. For example, in our MOUs, there are committees, implementing committees. First of all, they meet quarterly, and so they are able to discuss if there are problems or distance, so they learn from it and quickly adjust. This is first level with the people. There's a second level which we call impact assessment. So periodically, we send NGOs out to go and assess ongoing programs, ongoing projects, even ones that we have completed. From there, they will be able to identify what are the issues, such that we come back again next year when I would say, no, this project failed, or this project succeeded because of this and that. And so we are able to integrate this type of experience into our projects. Impact assessment, regularly done. At least once every 2 years, we go around on that. There is a third level, supported by our group in Paris. There's a tool today, a scientific tool, known as stakeholder relationship management. It's scientific. This is a tool that comes to investigate what you are doing for the communities and your own internal vision. Does it align? And this tool is able to identify the gaps between you and the communities. You might be doing things and you think that you are doing very well, but are you really satisfying the people? So they ask the people and it develops a gap. The time they came, one of the times they came, there was a time they identified one major issue for us. They said, look, we are not communicating well with our people. You are doing well, but you are not communicating. This led us to say, okay, let us put a magazine, a quarterly magazine. You have heard of Neighbors, yes. That was published periodically for the communities. Yes. So this stakeholder relationship management tool, SRM Plus, is one of the impact assessment one of the what did you ask? Mechanisms to gauge our performances and learn from it. It's very important, and it is now compulsory that every 3 years you must come and repeat it in very sensitive operational areas. There is even again another one, which is independent assessors. Independent assessors, they come to assess us on our own to find out what we are doing. The most recent one was done by CDA. CDA is an American independent assessing organization. They come regularly, at least every 5 years they come to check. It's independent, and they are allowed to publish whatever they see to the world. So the last time they came was in 2013, and probably they were there in 2005. They came again in 2013, and they will come again. And the reports are all on the internet. CDA, you can Google it and you see they are reports for especially OML 58, independent assessment. In fact, the last time they report, they said today, Total is one of the best examples of IOCs in the Niger Delta. That was their concluding statement. So these are the various mechanisms we have in place, independent assessors. And of course, I think you are doing your own.
I'm doing
with your digest, with
CSR Digest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are assessments.
But we hope Total will sustain CSR Digest.
we hope so.
Okay.
We hope so.
All right. So, okay. Now, so far, are you satisfied with the deliverables and feedbacks you got from beneficiaries?
Well, partly satisfied. I am not completely satisfied. I must say that. The main area being sustainability. Sustainability has been a key issue for us and our stakeholders. The projects, the programs we are running, we wish that they had ownership, a better ownership, such that they can run without Total. So these are the major areas of dissatisfaction that we have today. We are working on that. We are building institutions with them to take over these things and run. Because like I said in one of your questions here, is that we should just be one of the supporters for development.
At the background.
Yes. And we should not be the only one. They should stay in a position to be able to attract even donor funds from development agencies. There are funds everywhere.
Markets.
Yes.
Okay.
And so this sustainability issue for our projects and programs continue to be a very low point for our CSR. We are working on it, and it's all work in progress.
Are you optimistic that it will work out?
Yes, because the optimism comes from the capacity we are building in the people. We are building in people, that is it. Today we can identify some centers that are on their own really running now without even our support. We have had such examples, so all we need is to use these examples to replicate.
One major issue I would like to ask a question about is the issue of youths or beneficiaries of skills acquisition trying to sell starter packs. It is common in OML 58. Very, very common. Once you empower someone with a starter pack, there and then, once the officials are looking away from what they've given, before you know, that beneficiary will sell that starter pack. Is there any disciplinary measure that, though you are supporters, but is there any disciplinary measure the company will put in place to check this trend?
Well, you have hit the nail right at the head. As I mentioned, sustainability, it was one of the issues.
Okay.
Because today, one of our biggest is skills acquisition, build skills on people.
Yes.
In OML 58, we haven't succeeded so much, in spite of the huge spend we have put on our skills acquisition program. We haven't succeeded so much. But there are places where we have success stories. And the main reason being what we have just described. You train somebody today, a welder or somebody on catering. The next moment, there is somebody from Aba or everywhere looking to buy all the tools. So it has been a major problem. That is the sustainability. I'm glad now you just brought up one of the examples today. It is not right. And then for us, we are a little handicapped on how to solve this problem because it is coming from the people. And that is why we have been engaging the leadership of the people. Please, let us find a way to, we have adopted several measures on our own part to stem this. But the major issue is on the other side with the stakeholders. So they have to get their acts together. I think they have learned a lot over this crisis. Some of them are beginning now to say, no, I wish my welding equipment was with me. I would be doing some things by myself now. So that major aspect is with the stakeholders. What we are doing now is really that engagement aspect. Continue to talk with the leaders of the communities.
Okay. And the consultants.
Yes.
Because I'm happy one of the consultants made it clear to those he was distributing day-old chick and feeds and starter drugs. I was there. I was privileged to be there. So he was distributing this, and he made it clear that any of you found wanting in this distribution process, any of you found wanting, because there will be a monitoring an evaluation team that will always be visiting your farm. And once you are found wanting, we will delist you and we will blacklist you. These are the warnings they were giving. But even at that, I still saw someone who made away, who made away with his starter pack. But I think with this mechanism,
we are doing something. One of the things we have put in place, because of that, we carved out a new department called business development. Business development in community affairs is existing, sustainable development and all that. The aim of this is that after we have trained you and we see that you are succeeding, the business development comes in to support you. Yes, from SME level you could become distinct. So we put this in place as an incentive, and that will be a driver to encourage those who were selling their distinct. And so they are looking out for success stories. Most recently, as I came, they told me what is going on. You mentioned about the birds they are training, fish ponds and all that is going on around there. Is the business development is trying now to support. We can use loans and all that to make sure that they grow. So this is an incentive we have put in place to encourage those who are distant. That look, if you succeed, you can get a bigger level. And that business development is packaged such that, if it is even something for export, we can support you. So this is one thing we are doing to encourage them.
Now, is there any advice you have for the beneficiaries of all this, or the company itself? Because in previous episodes of this program, all my guests have one solution to proffer or the other. So, what are you doing? Are you listening to them, or will you be implementing all these, maybe one after the other? Just make this.
Thank you, Nduaje. I think it seems you are reading us, because we don't sleep. And I tell you, in all this, I am here this week in Port Harcourt. I will be meeting with the community affairs entity in Port Harcourt to introduce a new concept coming from Paris, coming from our group, of the new way we want to move. It is called Total Foundation. This is a new concept that focuses on youth development, in road safety, in sports, culture, those who are interested in music and all that, in environment, natural habitats. 4 main areas that Total Foundation is focusing. I just came in because I'm going to introduce it to them on this thing. So, like you have already mentioned, one of the key areas, sports. How can we develop from the ordinary OMF 58
tournament every year?
Yes. How can we gain from it? Yeah. Yes. So this is what Total Foundation is about, focusing on youths, because they are really the future. So we are working on all these as an improvement of what we were doing before. So we're moving from this thing to foundation concept. When things become a foundation, you are already, yes, consolidated and this thing. So this is what we are doing. Like I said, it seems you are reading us too. Because we were not also, we say we cannot stay at the level at which we are. We must move to a higher level. Okay. We are moving to next level in our this thing, if you want.
So, your last word for the public and those watching us. What do you have to say?
Well, my last word will be, first of all, is to thank you for this opportunity in exposing what we are doing as Total. It's also an avenue to share best practices. So for me, it's to our stakeholders to continue to encourage them that we will continue to work with them. As long as we are here, we will continue to work with them. But they have to know also that they must take their developments in their hands. These things are not forever. They must build on what we are doing. That's my really general word. Sustainability, I've emphasized on it, is for the stakeholders. On our part, we will continue to support. Like we said, we are even bringing new initiatives to be able to move our distance to very good levels that we can distance. So really, generally, I think things are good. The relationship has been good. Let us sustain this tempo for the companies. All well and good for everybody.
Thank you so much. Well, viewers, this is the much we can take on this episode of CSR Digest. CSR Digest will come to you again next weekend, Friday precisely. God willing. Until then, I just have to thank my guests, the Engineer Vincent Nadi, the Ochumarere one of OML 58 and beyond. Remain blessed. Next week is another day. Thank you.